I'm Daniel, 34, and until last year, I worked as a senior analyst at a mid-sized logistics company. Nothing flashy, just steady work, long hours, and a reputation for being reliable. I wasn't the loudest person in the room, but when something needed to be built from scratch, people came to me. That's how I ended up being assigned to train Marcus. Marcus joined our department fresh from another company. Late 20s, confident, smooth talker. The kind of guy who could walk into a room and have everyone laughing within 5 minutes. Management loved him immediately. My boss, Karen, called me into her office the day Marcus started. Daniel, I want you to bring him up to speed, she said. Show him how we do things here. You're the best person for that. I nodded. That was normal. I had trained 3 people before him. What I didn't know was that Marcus wasn't there to learn. He was there to replace. At first, everything seemed fine. I showed him the systems, the reporting tools, the way we handled clients. He asked a lot of questions, too many, looking back. Why do you structure the reports like this? He'd ask. Why not automate this part? Who reviews your work before it goes to management? At the time, I thought he was just eager, motivated. So I answered everything. I even showed him the project I had been working on for almost 6 months. It was something I had built quietly on the side, a new optimization model that could reduce delivery costs by almost 20%. It wasn't officially assigned. I just saw a gap and decided to solve it. Marcus was impressed. Wait, you built this yourself? He asked, leaning closer to my screen. Yeah, I said, still refining it. This is huge, Daniel, he said. Why haven't you presented this yet? I shrugged. Waiting until it's perfect. He smiled. Man, if I had something like this, I'd already be in Karen's office. I laughed it off. That was my first mistake. From that day, Marcus started sitting closer to me, watching more carefully, asking deeper questions. Can you show me how the back-end logic works? Where do you store your draft files? Do you have backups? It didn't feel wrong at the time. I thought I was mentoring him. Weeks passed, and something started to feel off. Marcus began speaking more in meetings. At first, just small comments, then suggestions. Suggestions that sounded familiar. One day during a team meeting, Karen asked if anyone had ideas on improving delivery efficiency. Marcus leaned forward. I've been thinking, he said confidently. What if we build a model that analyzes route inefficiencies and suggests optimized paths based on historical data? I froze. That was exactly what I had been building. Word for word. Karen's eyes lit up. That's interesting. Have you started working on something like that? Marcus glanced at me for half a second, then back at her. Just early thoughts, he said, but I'd love to explore it further. Everyone nodded. Impressed, I told myself I was overthinking. After the meeting, I pulled him aside. Hey, that idea you mentioned, I said carefully. That's basically what I showed you, right? Marcus smiled casually. Yeah, inspired by it. I mean, we're on the same team, right? Something about the way he said it didn't sit right. Still, I let it go. Second mistake. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Marcus started requesting access to shared folders, especially the ones I used. At one point, he said, Hey, Karen asked me to familiarize myself with ongoing projects. Mind if I look through your files? I hesitated, but then I thought, if Karen asked, it must be fine, so I gave him access. That was the moment everything slipped out of my control. A month later, Karen announced there would be a presentation to senior management. A new efficiency initiative, she called it. And she asked Marcus to lead it. I remember sitting in that meeting room, watching him stand at the front with a slide deck. My slide deck, my structure, my data, even my wording. Over the past few months, Marcus began, I've been developing a model to optimize delivery routes. I felt my chest tighten. He said, we, not the team. I looked around the room. No one questioned it. No one looked at me. Karen was smiling proudly. That's when I realized something I should have seen coming. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. And I had handed him everything he needed to do it. I sat there through the entire presentation without saying a word. Every slide felt like a punch to the chest. The graphs, the projections, even the small notes in the corner, I recognized all of it. Things I had spent late nights building, testing, correcting. Marcus delivered it like he owned it. Confident, polished, untouchable. When he finished, the room broke into applause. Karen was the first to speak. This is exactly the kind of initiative we need. This could change everything for us. Senior management started asking questions. Marcus answered smoothly, like he had been working on it for months. I wanted to interrupt. I wanted to stand up and say something, but I didn't. I kept telling myself, wait, there will be a moment. Someone will ask where it came from. Someone will mention me. No one did. After the meeting, people gathered around Marcus, congratulating him. That was impressive. Didn't know you had that in you. This could fast-track your promotion. I stood at the edge of the room, invisible. Karen walked past me and gave me a quick nod. Good support on this, Daniel. Support. That word stayed in my head the whole day. Not creator, not developer, support. I went back to my desk, opened my computer, and pulled up my original files. The timestamps were there. Weeks, months of work, draft versions, notes, calculations, everything clearly mine. But something else caught my attention. Some of the files had been modified recently. By Marcus. He hadn't just copied my work. He had gone into my files, edited them, and saved over versions. Slowly. Carefully. Like he was rewriting the history of the project. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just theft. This was preparation. I checked the shared folder logs, multiple accesses from his account over the past weeks. Late nights, early mornings. Times I wasn't even in the office. He had been working behind the scenes the whole time. I stood up and walked straight to Karen's office. I didn't knock. Hey, do you have a minute? I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked up, slightly surprised. Sure, what's going on? I closed the door behind me. That project Marcus presented, it's mine, I said. She leaned back in her chair, frowning slightly. What do you mean? I built that model months ago, I said. I showed it to him when he joined. He's using my work. Karen didn't react the way I expected. She didn't look shocked. She looked cautious. Daniel, she said slowly, Marcus told me he's been working on that independently. I felt my hands tighten. No, I said, that's not true. I have all the files, all the timestamps. I can show you everything. She nodded. Okay, show me. I went back to my desk, grabbed my laptop, and returned. I pulled up the original drafts, the progression, the dates. She watched quietly. I pointed at the details. Look at this. This is from 3 months ago, and this version, this is before he even joined the company. Karen leaned forward, studying the screen. For a moment, I thought I had her. Then she asked one question. Why didn't you present it earlier? I paused. I wanted it to be perfect, I said. She sighed slightly. Daniel, in this company, visibility matters. If you don't put your work forward, someone else will. That doesn't mean he gets to take it. That, I said, my voice rising. I'm not saying that, she replied quickly. But from what I'm seeing, Marcus has a more complete version now. He's refined it, built a case, presented it. Using my work, I said. She didn't deny it, but she didn't support me either. Let me talk to him, she said finally. We'll figure this out. I left her office with a strange feeling in my chest. Not relief, not anger. Something worse. Doubt. An hour later, Marcus walked over to my desk like nothing had happened. Hey man, he said casually. Heard you spoke to Karen. I looked at him, really looked at him. No guilt, no hesitation, just confidence. You took my work, I said quietly. He leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. You should have presented it first, he said. I felt something cold settle inside me. That's your defense? I asked. He shrugged. This is how things work, Daniel. Ideas don't matter. Execution does. I stared at him. I trusted you, I said. He gave a small smile. That was your third mistake. Then he walked away. That was the moment everything changed. Because now it wasn't about proving a point. It was about exposing him completely. And I already knew something he didn't. He had covered his tracks well, but not perfectly.
Like our stories? Subscribe and share to follow for more.
That night, I didn't go home and try to forget about it. I stayed, long after everyone else had left the office. The building was quiet, lights dimmed, security doing their rounds. I sat at my desk, going through everything again, slower this time. Not as the person who created the work, but as someone trying to prove it. Marcus had been careful. He accessed my files, edited versions, saved over drafts, and made it look like a natural progression. If someone just looked at the latest versions, it would seem like his project. But he made one mistake. He worked inside my system, and my system had automatic backups, hidden ones. Every version saved, every change logged, not in the shared folder he edited, but locally, tied to my account. He didn't know that. I opened the backup logs and started pulling the history. Original drafts from months ago, time-stamped edits, version sequences that showed the model evolving step by step long before Marcus even had access. Then I compared them with the files he had modified. Same structure, same formulas, same logic paths, just relabeled, repackaged, rebranded. By 2 a.m. I had everything, not just proof, a timeline, clear, undeniable, damaging. The next morning, I didn't go to Karen first. I went to HR. I requested a formal investigation and submitted everything, files, logs, timestamps, access records. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse emotionally. I just handed them facts. Cold, precise. Within 2 days, everything started to shift. Marcus was called into meetings he didn't expect. IT got involved. They pulled system-level logs, things even I couldn't access. And that's where his plan collapsed, because while he edited files, he couldn't erase access history. He couldn't erase the fact that the core files existed before he ever touched them. He couldn't erase that he opened, copied, modified, and redistributed them. By the end of the week, the atmosphere in the office had changed. No more confidence, no more loud conversations from Marcus, just silence. Then came the meeting. Karen, HR, Marcus, and me. Marcus still tried. I was developing my own version, he said. There may have been some overlap, but HR cut him off. We have reviewed the full file history, the representative said calmly. The evidence shows the original work was created by Daniel. Your versions are direct derivatives. Marcus didn't speak. For the first time since I met him, he had nothing. Karen looked at him differently now, not impressed, disappointed. You told me this was your work, she said. He tried one last time. I improved it. That doesn't make it yours, she replied. Silence filled the room. A few hours later, it was over. Marcus was terminated. No announcement, no goodbye speech. Just gone, like he was never there. But the story didn't end there, because a week later, Karen called me into her office again. This time, her tone was different. Daniel, she said, we've reviewed everything. The project is officially reassigned to you. I nodded. That includes presenting it to senior management, she added. I looked at her for a moment. You mean presenting what I already built? I asked. She didn't respond immediately. Then she said, yes, something in me had already changed. I'll finish the project, I said. But I'm not presenting it here. She frowned. What do you mean? I mean, I'm done, I said calmly. Her expression shifted. You're leaving? I nodded. Why? She asked. You're getting full credit now. I looked at her, steady. Because when it mattered, you didn't believe me, I said. Silence. You waited until it became undeniable, I continued. That's not the kind of place I want to build anything in. She didn't argue, because she knew I was right. I submitted my resignation that same day. 2 weeks later, I walked out of that office for the last time. Not angry, not bitter, just clear. A few months after that, I joined a smaller firm. Different environment, smaller team, less noise, more respect. I rebuilt the model there, better, stronger, fully mine. And this time I didn't wait. I presented it early, owned it openly, and it changed everything. Last I heard, Marcus was struggling to find work. Word travels fast in that industry, especially when it's tied to something like this. And the truth is, he didn't lose his job because of me. He lost it because of what he chose to do when no one was watching. As for me, I learned something the hard way. It's not enough to do good work quietly, because in the wrong environment, silence doesn't protect you. It makes you easy to erase. And I was never going to let that happen again.
Like our stories? Subscribe and share to follow for more.